Welcome back to Alyssa's Movie Takes. Let me explain something first to you. So I have, for the past year or so, had something that I like to call the night shift, which is where the Holy Spirit will wake me up in the middle of the night to pray. And usually I try to do something so that I can keep myself awake during that time. Usually it's around 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm only 2 weeks back from Africa, so I'm a little bit still of an early sleeper. I've always been an early sleeper anyway because of how my shifts have worked in the morning, morning radio or morning TV. So I'm an early sleeper usually. So last night I went to bed before The Chosen aired on YouTube and the app and Facebook. And then I had a night shift at about 3:30 in the morning. So I woke up and I decided to watch The Chosen, season 2, episode 2. And that worked out fine, except that I also realized that there was an episode 3 on the app, which was a surprise. I'm just going to do a quick review of both. Episode 2 is where Nathaniel and Philip meet Jesus. In the Bible, when Nathaniel meets Jesus, it's one of my favorite moments. One, because he scoffs at where Jesus is from at first a little bit, but then because Jesus has what we call in Christianity a word of knowledge, that he was sitting under a fig tree, and Jesus calls that out and says, "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree." That Nathaniel immediately sees Jesus in all of his power and calls him out, and Jesus prophesies over Nathaniel on that revelation. The model of The Chosen seems to be, you see it with Simon, you see it with Thomas, now you're seeing it with Nathaniel, that Jesus calls his disciples in their lowest moments, that he meets them in their lowest moments and brings them out of that to follow him. I think that's why I liked the introduction of Philip in The Chosen, not necessarily in the Bible, but in The Chosen a little bit better, because Philip is a wild man who's been following John the Baptizer around for a couple of years. So he's kind of inducted into what is going to become life on the road or life in the wilderness or life on a journey or life on the run. He knows what that's like. For me, it was like as if the disciples who have never climbed a mountain before are suddenly introduced to an experienced mountain climber, and they're like, okay, now we can do this because at least he's been there and he knows what he's doing. I'm excited to have Philip as part of the team, Nathaniel as well, but I did like Philip's introduction in The Chosen better, as I said. In season 2, episode 3, which was our bonus episode, we didn't know that we were getting that yesterday. It's a little bit shorter, but just like season 1, episode 3, season 2, episode 3 primarily takes place in Jesus' camp. And this time, we don't see Jesus as much because he's outside ministering to the crowd, healing them all their diseases. And his disciples, the chosen ones, are sitting around the campfire, playing games, just kind of biding their time. And the conflict, the tension between these very different people who've been thrown together in a very hard setting of sleeping on the ground and not knowing where you're going next, suddenly comes right up to the surface. All of us who have been in church know that following Jesus does not mean that you are free from tension from other people. In fact, sometimes it makes it worse. That's coming up in season 2. And I'm ready to go on that journey to see how these very strong personalities, particularly in Simon and John, in Matthew, are going to play themselves out, and we see that tension really rise. I won't spoil it here, but I love how they had Jesus settle it without saying a word. I mean, it was just awesome. Really well written. When Dallas was doing all the live streams, he actually previewed this episode and had a conversation around the fire with Mary. He previewed that, so I remembered that, and I just loved seeing it come to life with the actress who plays Mary. She's just such a wonderful maternal figure, and it just plays so well, and having her tell the story of her son's birth from her perspective. So season 2, episode 3 is a little bit of a behind the scenes look of Jesus' ministry, something that we might not think about if we were just reading the scriptures of what were the disciples doing when Jesus was doing all of this work. Dallas, I know that I'm doing a reaction video to these episodes. I thought it was comical and lighthearted that Dallas decided to do a reaction video to episode 1. So it just tells you they're taking themselves lightly, but they're having a good time. And they're, at the end of the day, they're putting together these shows, these episodes that really are making you come into a better understanding of who these people were who were following Jesus, who gave up everything at a moment's notice to follow Jesus, and he wasn't meeting all their expectations, and they had to kind of learn to live with that. So bottom line on this rather short review of both of those episodes, it was worth watching at 3:30 in the morning, and it will be worth watching at any point, but I'm looking forward to chatting with you again soon. Let me know what you thought of these episodes of The Chosen.